It's been just over 6 months since I started prioritizing my health and fitness. I learned a lot of technical information like lifting form and a lot about food. But when I look back on it, the really valuable part for me of all this aren't all the facts that I've learned. The most valuable takeaways are the lessons I ingrained into my mind by actually living through this. Going through the highs and the lows, going through the tough moments and enjoying the easier ones. I gathered them into a handful of fundamental lessons that are the backbone of what I've learned so far. I don't see myself being anywhere close to being done, but these last 6 months have already taught me a couple of really important things. What really clicked for me first was setting up my own set of protocols that I could stick to without a ton of in-the-moment decision-making. Essentially, make it as easy as possible. It takes a little bit of upfront effort to figure out what those personal protocols look like, but once I figured them out, it was a game changer. These protocols are valuable to me because they help me make choices that match up with my long-term goals no matter what situation I find myself in. Instead of relying on impulses and feelings in the moment, I've got these rules that I can lean on. For example, with food, I took the time to learn a lot about it. So now, no matter if I'm by myself, where I can control exactly what I eat, or out at a restaurant, or even somewhere random, like on a plane, I have my set of guidelines that allow me to make choices that keep me in line with my goals. At the same time, I learned that changing your protocols doesn't mean you're giving up on your goals. I did not find what was most sustainable for me on the first try. I learned that something can work for you in one sense and be awful for you in another. I was eating these calories and amount of protein that got me close to my desired physique, but it was taking a toll on me mentally. It was tough because I was scared of changing my habits, because I didn't want to risk losing the physical progress I had made or accidentally regressing back to where I had started. But I also knew that I was feeling shitty mentally, and I needed to change my relationship with food. I was worried that changing up my protocols would be me giving up in a sense, but that's where I was wrong. Adjusting those rules is a sign of growth, because you're adapting to what is going to work for you in the long run and shouldn't necessarily be something to be scared of. The only reason I drink is to get drunk. Alcohol is poison for the body, so how do I justify drinking it? The key is, choose your occasions. I realized I always saw alcohol as a deliberate choice that, okay, tonight I'm going to enhance the night with some drinks, and it was never the automatic default. Once I realized I already had this mindset with alcohol, I started using it in other areas of my life, like how I approach eating sugar. Similar to alcohol, chronic consumption of sugar is terrible for the body, right? But I don't want to give up cookies or chocolates with my tea forever, just because they don't fit in with my usual plan. I drink a lot of tea, but I'll be selective on when I choose to enhance the experience with these sweet things. It doesn't have to be every time, but I learned it also doesn't have to be never. When I'm reading a good book or sitting down with my family, I'll eat some chocolate and I eat it slowly and I really enjoy it. And I'm like, holy shit, this is so good. It becomes more about the mindfulness of the whole experience rather than just this quick indulgence you could have every time you walk past the pantry. And the powerful thing is you can decide entirely for yourself what you define an occasion to be. And it doesn't have to align with anyone around you. It can be a holiday, but it doesn't have to be a holiday or anything. In this way, you can enjoy the things that may not feed your body, but do feed your soul. The fourth lesson is the only thing you can do different is something different the next time. Let's say you do something that doesn't align with your long-term goals. It happens. It will happen. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. You have the power to reset this choice for yourself every single time. Beyond some recognition that what you did doesn't align with your goals, there is literally no point in dwelling too much on what you've already done. It's in the past. There's definitely no point in beating yourself up about it and making yourself feel worse or letting it snowball into something bigger. Just learn from it and move on. I picture health and fitness like a mosaic filled up with tiny tiles that you're building over your whole life, which is why I call this next lesson playing the long game. Most of your tiles are implementing the easiest, sustainable, everyday actions and choices, and some other tiles are going to be deviations from that. You literally have a lifetime to figure out what your picture is going to look like, what works best for your body. So keep learning, first and foremost, then trying, failing, and changing what you do. Over time, when you zoom out, you'll have this nice picture because you gave yourself the grace of time to figure it all out. And finally, I learned that it's actually okay to factor in health and personal happiness into my definition of what it means to be successful. In college, the only definition of success for me was if I got good grades. I didn't actively push my health to the side, but it was completely not on my radar. I poured myself into studying, especially during my last semester, which was a really stressful time. But I didn't realize how neglecting my physical health was actually impacting me. I remember towards the end of that last semester, I was sick with these strep-like symptoms for weeks, and being sick is pretty uncommon for me. The funny thing about that semester is that it was the only semester of college I got straight A's. I can't say my anxiety was for absolutely nothing. I always felt it gave me this kind of edge, but it went beyond constructive worrying and just into this useless rumination. Looking back, if I'd have paid a bit more attention to my physical health, eaten better, moved a bit, I probably could have been just as successful academically, but a whole lot healthier physically, and mentally, in turn, a lot happier. And even if it meant sacrificing a bit of academic success, I learned that physical health and happiness are success outright in themselves. So I've learned a bunch of technical stuff about workouts and food, but in the last 6 months, what's really stuck with me are the lessons I've learned while actually going through the ups and the downs. Even though I've got a long way to go, and I see this as a lifelong thing really, these last 6 months have taught me a lot about finding balance.